Howdy, I'm Jimmy. Thanks for joining me outside of the cabin in my old rocking chair. I'd be in the garden, but right now it's all shaded by the giant pines, so I want to be in the sunlight. Oh, finally getting some sunlight out here. It was all rainy yesterday. But to feel that sun, whew, come on, sunny boy. So I've been wanting to do a talk like this because I'm kind of a psychonaut. You could say, been taking cannabis for about 20 years, So I like to think of myself as an expert in psychedelics. Like, you really don't know something until you do it. And then when you do something for like 20 years, it's like, wow. You should really master it at that point. It's a long damn time. So I just want to talk about my experience with cannabis, the ups and the downs and the all-arounds. Not trying to tell you to smoke it, not trying to tell you to quit it. I'm just telling you what I do with it and what I've discovered about it. And how I like to be neutral. I really like to look at everything here as neutral. It's just like the internet. You could use it to brainwash people, to grift and trick people and take money. Or we could use it to tell the truth and unite humanity. It's a neutral platform. It all depends on how you use it. Just like a sword, just like a gun. It all depends. Okay, so I just don't like the whole absolutist idea that we have of it's good, it's bad, I'm addicted, I'm this, I'm that. All that stuff is bad to me. All that made up jargon and nonsense about stuff. I like to focus in on the nuances and the personal experience I have with it, not what somebody else did. Because I've heard, you hear all these stories. The first time this kid smoked cannabis, went crazy and unalived himself. And that's true. Some people cannot handle that kind of stuff going on in their consciousness. It overtakes it, drives them insane. Okay? But some of us can. Some of us can handle a lot within our minds. And I just think I'm the type. Like, I think I have a strong mind, and I'm able to let things attack it, let things come at my mind, and still just look back at it and say, okay, well, whatever, dude. You're not going to overtake me. But for a lot of people, drugs consume them. Just like ideas can consume them. Religions and rituals and fear. I just think if you got any fear in you, you shouldn't play around with psychedelics. It's gonna drag you down the wrong path. You gotta be strong-minded and sovereign. And be able to tell the difference between your thoughts and the cannabis's thoughts, okay? I'm not trying to say I have the whole thing figured out. I just liken cannabis to alcohol, to any other mind-altering substance here. You're inviting a spirit into you. You have your original consciousness, and then it gets transformed depending on what you invite into it. It's all that's happening. You just got to be careful with who you invite, because can take over and make you do things you shouldn't have done. just like coffee. The coffee can consume you and make you a little busy bee worker, right? Without thinking twice. It's good. It feels good to turn the knobs on the machine and hit the buttons and make everything work when you're on coffee. Definitely a thing. But we're talking about cannabis and the psychedelic effects that it has. The psychedelic. It's funny, that word. The reason I started smoking cannabis was to smash my consciousness, was to stop thinking, was to get rid of all the thoughts and all the inner critic I had telling me this, telling me that. All I knew when I started cannabis was it's all gone. Yeah. Don't have to think anymore. Don't have to care anymore. So it's pretty easy to see why somebody gets into cannabis and starts doing it. It erases your care. You stop caring about things. And sometimes you need to stop caring about things, okay? I'm not like, not every care that you have is healthy. So, there's a positive to not caring, okay? You should not care what other people think of you. It's a big one. It's a big thing you should not care about. Shouldn't care about all these stories people tell you that you could never verify, you know, like old religious stories, old fake history stories. Like, you shouldn't care about that stuff. You shouldn't have this care that I'm American and I care about American heritage, or I'm a European and they're destroying my hair. You shouldn't care about any of that crap. It's all made up identities. So for me, like, you know, some of the cannabis and the not caring has been amazing and opened my eyes and my mind to what's really going on here. But then the flip side of the cannabis is you can kind of get down into a not caring about anything hole, to where you just fuck it. I remember there's this Cat Williams stand-up to where he's like, you got problems, you're thinking about bills and stuff, try weed. And then you just don't care about any of that crap, right? It's funny.
If your life is fucked up, you need weed. Weed is put on this earth for niggas on the struggle, niggas on the grind. There is a chemical in weed that's called bucket. And if you can just get that in your system, it could change your life. Some of y'all be crying about bills you can't pay. Just, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this light bill. They want the whole thing. They don't want a piece of it, a deposit. Just hit the blunt one time and see if it don't change your perception of what's important in your life. You just, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this life. Fuck them goddamn lights. I got 12 candles. I've been waiting to burn them bitches.
But I knew this was coming. I knew that, like, I can't just smoke cannabis every night the rest of my life. It's not going to turn out good. That's not going to be, you know, kind of like having a cloud around all the time. You need to wipe it away and have your original consciousness come back. Let it come back. Give it some time. You know, that's a big part of this. So what I think about cannabis is it just really helps you to not care, focus in on the moment. Very good aspects to it, depending on what you don't care about. But when you smoke too much and you get down into a deep depressive state, because it always happens when, like, you're not taking a break from smoking, you're not doing it in moderation, it kind of overwhelms you and sends you into the underworld. I think, the underbelly of consciousness, to where you have to smoke to come back to surface level. It's like every day, if you don't smoke, you have this thing in your head to where you just don't feel right unless you smoke. So it can be a very dangerous thing that you have to do if you're not careful. But I also look at cannabis like it's almost like if you're doing martial arts and you're hitting the punching bag, you know. I think cannabis, some of these drugs can kind of be a workout for your mind. It can give your mind an enemy that's trying to influence it, trying to screw with it. So it gives your mind another opportunity to hit back and to become new, become stronger. And that's why, you know, some people lose the fight with cannabis. Instead of working out the mind and getting the mind to be stronger, it's too much. You weakened the mind instead, and you let this thing overtake it. You know, I just think that's the thing about all these drugs we do, is it can overwhelm you if you're not careful, if you don't have a mind willing to look at things differently, to change. You know, you get caught in a certain pattern, can really screw you up. So it's a very dangerous thing. I'm not telling you to do it, but at the same time, if you have a strong will, a strong mind, you already know you're fine. You already know you can put it aside if you really need to. And so after 20 years of smoking cannabis, it's time to put it to the side. That's all. I'm not saying I'm quitting for good, but I'm not going to smoke every night. That's what I've kind of been doing a lot. And in the past 4 months or so, I've been really testing myself, and I quit cannabis for a month, and then I do cannabis for a month, and then I quit for 3 weeks, and then I do it for 3 weeks. And I'm kind of in one of those phases to where I just quit, putting it aside. So it's still kind of lingering in there somewhere. You know, there's still some effects of the cannabis. I was sober yesterday, which I will tell you, that is the hardest day. You just, the one day after you've smoked for like a month or whatever, you can just last that one day without it, and then coming to the next day, it becomes a lot easier. But that's me. Everybody's kind of different. A lot of times when I would quit, I do the 3-2-1 method. So let's say it's like a Friday. I smoke 3 times on the Friday, smoke twice Saturday, then smoke once on Sunday, and then I go sober Monday. It doesn't work all the time, and I'll explain. And it's the reason I'm making this video, because I've never heard anybody point this out about, you can call it addiction, you can call it attachment, but when you're trying to get rid of something that you've been doing forever, you're trying to disrupt a pattern that you have, you should not do it on a full moon. Okay, there's something about the full moon, the energy that the full moon is putting out in all of us, that really just, it's kind of like the pressure builds up during the full moon, like you're pressurized every day that full moon is out, and you want to release the pressure, okay? And if you have been releasing the pressure through smoking, and then on the full moon you decide, like, I'm quitting, all that pressure from the full moon hits you. So, and it just happened to me like a week ago. I was like, all right, I'm going to take a break now. Time to stop smoking, go sober. And I did it on a full moon. And it's just like I couldn't do it. Something hit me to where it's like, I got to go get some more and smoke because I don't know, things are affecting me. And then I look up and I'm like, oh, it's the freaking full moon. So I would advise you to try and change things in your life during a new moon, which means like there's no moon in the sky to screw with you. So that's I think a very wise lesson, something that nobody points out, is like when you're making changes in your life, you've got to pay attention to the moon, because the moon affects your mood, it affects your emotions, and it can make things a lot harder. And I really think the way this life goes, because we're kind of trapped by time right now, is you gotta give things time. So if you haven't been smoking for a couple weeks and then the full moon comes, you're gonna be fine, because you've trained yourself, you've let go, you're ready to kind of feel the pressure from the full moon and all that energy, and not try to escape it. And I think that's another thing about cannabis, is it can kind of zap your energy. And it's a big thing for men. Because when I think of a man, I think of action. You know, when you really look at women, you look at men. Men are the actors of this realm. That's why we're like twice as big as women. Like, we're supposed to be out there building stuff. We're supposed to be out there being physical. That emotional stuff is more for women, right? And so I'll just be totally honest. Like, I feel like I've gone through like a wet lettuce phase to where like, I just became like a female. I became a soy boy. But it was from smoking cannabis. And you gotta realize, you're smoking cannabis, it's the female plant. You're not smoking the male plant because it doesn't have the THC or whatever. You're smoking the female. And so it's like inviting a female spirit into you. And for a man who's alone, it can feel great, because, you know, you want a female spirit around. You want to feel the feminine here. But it's kind of a cheap shortcut, right? Like, you're not like having a relationship. You're freaking smoking it into you and forcing the feminine into you. So it's a little it just is what it is, okay? Like, it's a feminine spirit, and it can really, I think, drain men of their energy and get them to stop acting. And I guess when I think of 20 years of the cannabis use, and a lot of times it's like, I wasn't like a druggie with it. It was more like I had my job. I'd get up early in the morning, I'd go out, do what I needed to do, and then by 4:20, I'm off work and I can get high, okay? And I can not care about things, and I could just relax about it. That was a lot of what it was. It was, an escape. You know, I had done all my action in the earlier day. I had gone out and sat in front of a computer, made a bunch of money, whatever. It's not really action when you think about it. But in our twisted society, like, money is action. So sitting around trading stocks, you know, you feel like you've done something because you gained the fucking money that's all fake and printed out. And I go on and on about fake money. And how the attack on men and how men need to be out acting, and how you just see so many men sitting there in front of screens or standing there wearing a suit trying to sell people something. It's not what a man is. So I've kind of told you the best methods of getting off of cannabis. And I'm going to be totally honest with you, I still want to smoke every now and then. You know, it's something about humans. We build up all this pressure and then we have to release it. And it's just one of my releases, you know. I think a lot. I use my psychic powers a lot. And sometimes you just want to turn it all off. Okay? But there's a moderation with that. And it just all comes with growing up and being more mature about life. You know. But I gotta admit, like, all of this cannabis smoking has made me, it's feminized me in a lot of ways. You know, I like to say I went through a wet lettuce phase, right? Like, if you watch a lot of my videos from the past, I'm kind of talking about new age spirituality and stuff, and a lot of nonsense I think I had to go through, and I had to, you know, experience myself. And it's like I find truth in a lot of that wet lettuce stuff. Like, we create our own reality. I do create my own reality, but I did not create the society. There's so many things that I did not do here that I am affected by. Okay, so there's a lot of new age stuff that I kind of picked up on and I could see some truth in, and I got mixed up and I was wrong about. And I could see how cannabis kind of, you know, weakened my perception in a way. And allowed these things to come through me that just aren't true, that just sound good, and they make sense for the time being. But when you really analyze the thought fully, it's just a distraction. It's just trying to take you off that path of being a hardcore, action-oriented man here, who's I'm here to rip this realm to pieces. I'm here to change everything about this place. And it's what I've realized. I just need to embrace who I am. And part of smoking cannabis for the past 20 years, I was able to escape myself. I was able to not be this strong man that I know I am. It gave me an easy excuse to hide away. It helped me to not care. And that's just something we should all think about, is what do we really care about? What are we passionate about? And what are we here to do? And what's killing our care? What's stopping us? And I was telling you, every now and then, you got to get rid of all these thoughts, all these cares, and just relax, okay? I'm not trying to say it all has to be this way, it all has to be that way. Just trying to find that balance. Sometimes we go overboard with things. And in closing, I got to share like the latest experience I had with cannabis. I've been quitting cannabis for a month, and then starting back up for a month, and then quitting again for the past like 4 months or so. Kind of really testing it out, seeing how much of a grip it has on me. And the first time I quit for a full month, you know, I was sober. Same old me. You know, just a little more clearer. Definitely more physical. I was doing more construction. It came easier because you don't feel a little, you know, the lag in your body from being high. But I had this plan. Like, I went to the dispensary. I got like the strongest indica because I like the indicas better than the sativas. I don't want the mind running stuff. I want the thing that shuts your mind off and puts you to, you know, melt you away in the couch. So I bought this Purple Punch, and it was Friday night. I had gotten done with my work, and I was like, all right, I'm going to hit this bong. It's been a month, and I'm going to do a smoke and salt bath. It's going to be great. And I took a couple hits of the Purple Punch, and it just immediately hit me like real strong. Like, whoa, that stuff from the dispensary is roided out. It's really strong. And I just figured, like, I've been smoking forever. This stuff doesn't affect me. I can always handle it. And then I remember going into my bathroom, and I just felt this overwhelming feeling of death. I know this probably freak a lot of people out. Probably like, how the heck do you know what death feels like? It's the only way I could describe this feeling I had was like something just died. And it was like, you know, to put it into practical terms, like I was sober, Jimmy, for a month, you know, building up that sober mind and that way of being, and then I got high on some really strong stuff, and it just felt like it all died. And then I literally felt my stomach flip because there's something, and I don't know everything that cannabis does, but we know that it makes you hungry. It makes you get the munchies, you want to eat. So it definitely does something to your gut. It does something to your stomach, kind of flips it in a way, but I felt the flip. And I was like, man, this is not what I was expecting. I was expecting to just feel the warm gravy pouring all over me, and I'm, you know, back to where I was a month ago, just chilling. And no, it was not like that. This was kind of a fucked up psychedelic experience. And it's like, hey, you learn more than that from those fucked up psychedelic experiences than you do the fun ones, I think. And so I just got to share that with you. Like, I felt like I had died. And then I went on for a month, finished the dispensary cannabis, had to start smoking some homegrown to regain like this balance. Because it was like the dispensary cannabis was just too strong. It was making me paranoid and making me feel off to where it didn't used to do that in the past. But it's a funny drug. The more you do it, the more you can handle that stuff, I guess. It's the way it goes. So I'd suggest smoking homegrown. If you're gonna smoke at all, stay away from that dispensary stuff. It's too potent. Turns you into a zombie. Takes away too much energy. Kind of feel like I went through a psychic death, though, when I did it. I've been doing it for 20 years, and I had not ever had an experience like that. So. But this is me playing with fire. It's me playing with my mind, you know. Figured it'd be a good thing to share with people, this different perspective on it. And do what you want with it, you know. I'm not trying to say smoke it or not smoke it. Just trying to share my experience. Kind of help you to see a different angle on it, maybe, that you haven't heard before. But yeah, definitely time for me to sober up. Not smoke every night like I have been. And like I already know, like cannabis was kind of helping me hide from myself, kind of helping me to lower my potential, helping me to not care. And I'll be the first one to admit it's very nice to not care about things. It's pretty obvious if we could all just not care, you know, then we could accept the world as it is right now. But that's not the way I'm going. I cared enough to come into this realm. I cared enough to go through all these cannabis experiences. There's a deep amount of care that I have about what I'm doing here. And it's a hard thing to try and better yourself and become great when you're surrounded by people going the other way. You know, it's easier to degrade and demoralize yourself and to not care about this earth and care about things going on. And I'm trying to rekindle that flame of care, but at the same time only care about what you can change, about what you can control in front of you. There's a lot of crap you should not care about. But I love you. Hope you enjoyed this talk. I hope it opened up some avenues for you. Enjoy.